This is a spoiler-filled review and discussion. This episode also contains conversation about domestic violence and sexual assault. Viewer discretion is advised, and resources can be found in the description. So, hello everyone. Welcome to our second episode of Bookworms on Call, podcast where we dig deep and discuss all things literary. I'm Danielle Mamaro, and I'm joined by my terrific host.
Hi, I'm Evan, and I'm so excited that we're finally on episode 2. Recording episode 1 was a disaster.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm excited that
we
we're
don't have to worry about it.
Not the recording we just did. I'm talking about our mortal enemy Riverside.
We can't shit talk another podcast.
You're right. We could get sponsored one day.
Exactly.
Sorry, Riverside, we love you. We stan. And we will be at your next concert.
Riverside as a band goes hard, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, is there an actual band called Riverside, or do you just think the name
There's
would be
gotta
good as a
be.
band name? There probably is. Hey, Google, tell me things. Oh, well. Oh, okay. Riverside are a Polish progressive rock band from Warsaw. They were founded in 2001 by friends... Polish name number 1, Polish name number 2, and Polish name number 3, and Polish name number 4. So it is a band. Shout out to Poland.
Shout out to Poland. So Evan, what are we doing this episode? What is the famed episode?
This
That is going to
episode,
be our magnum opus.
we're talking about the one, the only, the legend, the queen, Colleen Hoover, and her esteemed book, It Ends With Us, by Colleen Hoover.
I'm so excited.
I am too. Yeah.
I took, for audio listeners, if you could watch this, I have a ton of sticky notes sticking out of my book. Most of them are pink. I will let you know that the pink and purple ones are the negative post-it notes.
Oh, what are the green ones or the yellow ones?
The green ones are the good ones.
Oh, there's like 3.
There are some good things in this book. I did not viscerally hate this.
That's good.
So
I also didn't viscerally hate it. I was very surprised that I wasn't like angry at it, because like I kept seeing like Colleen Hoover like rant reviews, and I was like, oh, people really hate these books. And obviously I watched some of them, and I was really expecting to hate this book, but I was just...
Me too.
It was mostly just okay. It's like the Mario movie of books. It's fine. I shouldn't be comparing the domestic violence book to the Mario movie, but my emotional response to the book is very similar to the Mario movie.
Before we get into discussion, I would like to read you a summary that I wrote of this book.
Yes, for the people who haven't read the book, and also the podcast host who read this book last year and wasn't able to reread it again before recording this. Not me, but...
I reread this. I read this twice now.
Yeah. I am prepared for this episode. I'm talking about the other host who's off camera.
That's what happened.
Who doesn't have a mic. Hey, look, I'm going through like a job transition right now. It's been hell. Cut me some slack.
I'll read you the summary.
Yeah, I read your summary. I reread my notes on the book. So I do have things to say, but provide a summary for the audience.
Our summary starts with, Lily's life is far from easy, but she's worked hard for the life that she wants. She's graduated college, has amazing friends, and started her own business. So things seem to fall into place when she meets the overly ambitious and handsome neurosurgeon, Ryle Kincaid. Ryle doesn't want relationships, but as he gets to know Lily, his heart begins to soften. However, the more Lily gets to know Ryle, the more she realizes she doesn't recognize the man she fell in love with. He's kind, smart, and witty 90% of the time, but 10% of the time he has a violent side to him that puts Lily's life in danger. As Lily struggles to navigate the situation she's in, Lily vowed to never be like her mother, but she finds herself in a situation that mirrors her own, and Lily must choose between a twisted form of love or herself. This book follows the struggles of what it's like to enter an abusive relationship and the internal struggles of leaving. Now, I will say, dear audience, my description is vastly different from the one that I chose to describe the book as, because let me read.
Yeah, what's like the official like back flap description of the book?
I chose to describe it accurately because that's what the book is about.
Mm-hmm.
It's about Lily leaving an abusive relationship
Mm-hmm.
because it's about domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
But the Dust Jacket makes it seem like the main plot is a love triangle, and I find it increasingly deceptive and manipulative that Hoover chose to market that book in a way without giving the proper warnings beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of a scummy marketing tactic, and I've seen like films do it too, and it's like, no, we didn't sign up for this, so why do I have to deal with this? Although we did sign up for this.
Yes, I still believe that something should not be a plot twist, and domestic violence is one of them.
Yeah.
That's
Oh yeah.
scummy. It's dirty.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And for some idiots, me being the idiot, it genuinely was a plot twist. I wasn't actually expecting it to happen.
Oh, we'll get to that point. We'll get to that point.
Yeah. At least not in the way it actually happened in the book. I was expecting it to be like overly romanticized and not really unpacked in any way.
Me too.
So, but that, put a pin in that.
We will put a pin in that, and we will come back to it.
Yeah.
So the next part is going to be a beat-by-beat discussion of this book. I wrote a long summary. We'll go to beat-by-beat by what happens in the book, and Evan, please cut in at any point.
Yeah.
This is meant to be a point to where I'm just summarizing things that happen, and we'll have commentary along the way as the book progresses.
And actually, before recording,
then,
I did read it, and I was finding myself formulating things to say. So, yeah, hopefully we'll have a good discussion.
And then afterwards, we should have like an overall thoughts about the entire book.
Yeah.
And we'll also list off some good things that we found about the book, some bad things, etc., etc. We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
The beginning of the book reads like a regular romance book, albeit a poorly written one, but a romance book nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that Hoover did this. It started off with romance to mirror Lily's understanding because the audience doesn't realize that Ryle is supposed to be violent until Lily does, which happens about halfway through the book.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're tackling topics such as domestic violence, I think it's okay to add a trigger warning to the front of the book.
Yeah. And that kind of, if you put a trigger warning, that kind of, there's like a phrase, but it kind of just like puts a signal out to the audience like, hey, keep your eye out for this. And then that'll like avoid like the confusion where it's like, I didn't see it coming. So it's like, if that was like put a trigger warning at the beginning of the book, I'd have been like, okay, so I know what to expect going in, so I can like mentally steel myself for it. But that wasn't there. So I couldn't do that. And
it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I was kind of blindsided. And I remember like getting really upset when that blindsiding did happen, because it's like, okay.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
So, the first scene, we start off strong with Lily standing at the edge of her, like, rooftop. It's Boston, they have rooftop lounges.
Big city
moment. And she starts to think about suicide, but it's not her actual suicide. She's thinking about just suicide in general. And as a suicide survivor, I found that very stinky.
Yeah.
I found it stinky.
Yeah.
That was stinky behavior.
I don't recall this part, but in your summary, didn't you say it was like it was either like a joke or like making light of it or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was. It was like, okay. So the book opens with a suicide joke, and as a suicide attempt survivor, I found it in poor taste. It's like, oh, I'm thinking about suicide, but I'm not actually going to do it, but I'm thinking about it.
Yeah,
it's a poor joke. It could have been good, but Hoover doesn't know how to write heavily written dark humor.
I feel like you have to have like a certain like comedic gravitas to be able to pull off a suicide joke, and I don't think Colleen Hoover's equipped for that.
And she starts off her book like this.
Yeah, that's definitely a choice on her part. But I guess her thing, maybe she's just like the shock jock of writers. Maybe that's how she gets people to read.
I read Ugly Love as well, and that's what she does. She starts off strong with her first sentence, like she fucking uppercuts you.
Yeah.
And then it has nothing to do with the scene. Anyway.
Yeah.
So Lily, our main character, has just gotten back from her father's funeral, and she's feeling a lot of resentment because her father was violent, especially towards her mother. Eventually, she sees a sexy man emerge to the rooftop and immediately kicks a chair made of military-grade polymer, which Lily avails to mention not once, not twice, but thrice. And upon seeing this man be violent, he doesn't remind her of her father, who she is currently thinking of. Instead, she gets horny, which is a choice.
She was just ready to pounce on this Shadow the Hedgehog ass man. She was ready for it.
Oh my god, it was. I
I'm sorry.
don't.
Your
Anyway.
description of him was very Shadow the Hedgehog, like this sexy man emerging from the darkness, and he kicks a military grade chair. What's a military grade polymer chair? What does that mean?
I don't know. I mean, we should know at this point. Hoover described it thrice, but I
Yeah,
still don't know.
yeah. She
Maybe that's
just
on my own ignorance, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. But
So we find out that this man's name is Ryle, which is a stupid fucking name.
hmm
They banter a bit, have a flirt, and they start this sort of thing called Naked Truth, where they tell the honest truth to one another. And one can tell that this is going to be a reoccurring event throughout the novel.
hmm
Anyway,
it's like
they end the encounter.
it's like a
Oh,
gimmick.
what were you
It's
gonna
like
say?
one of the two
It is a
gimmicks of the
gimmick.
book. Yeah.
So they end the encounter because Ryle has to go back to work. By the way, he's a neurosurgeon and he just smoked a joint and he's going back to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, I remember when I first.
Can we talk about
Yeah,
that?
I remember when I first read that. I was like, "Oh, he's a neurosurgeon and he's high while being a neurosurgeon. That's so deep or something." It's like
No, but like
he
it's fine if he gets high, but it's the fact that he went back to work
yeah,
high.
right. Which is weird because later in the book, not to like jump the gun, but like he gets like mad at Lily because like he hurt his hands and he's like, these hands are like my whole career. If my hands are messed up, I can't do my job. And it's like, bro, you're going to work high. So it's like he needs to like make up his mind if he actually gives a shit about his job or not. Because it's like you can't domestic abuse your wife about your hurt hands, but then also go to work high and perform brain surgery while high. So it's like immediately you know
Anyway,
this guy's a piece of shit.
God. Yeah, I picked up on that
Yeah.
on the first page.
The
A lot of people didn't.
yeah.
Because I recognized that it was foreshadowing that he was immediately violent towards the chair, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And
That
like
means he's going to be
that's
violent
obvious,
towards
but
Lily.
like the book doesn't project that it's gonna like deconstruct that. Like I just thought it was gonna be like Colleen Hoover, like her regular fare. It's gonna like, oh, he's sexy because he's violent and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, like the first half of the book is written like that until the ball drops.
Okay, so they end the encounter because Ryle has to go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
And he ends it with snapping a pic of Lily so he can jerk off to it later.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that when I first read it because you mentioned like him taking a photo of her to jerk off to her later, like when we first read this, and I was like, I do not remember
He
that.
doesn't say that's what he's going to do.
Yeah,
But in only so many words,
yeah, it's
we as the
implied.
audience understand what he's
Yeah.
doing.
He's gross. Like I feel like it doesn't have to be like implied in the book. Like,
But he's
you pick up on
sexy,
that.
Evan. He's
Yeah.
sexy and mysterious and brooding.
Well, so was Joe Biden when he was young. I still don't like him. You can be hot and a piece of shit, and I don't have to like you. Okay. I'm not one of those
anything-
disaster gays who falls for any hot man. It's like you got to be nice a little bit. Sorry, the rage has been building up for like over a year now,
And we're finally
I'm, like,
releasing
yeah,
it.
I'm ready to
Through-
just strangle this man. Sorry. Okay, keep going. Don't let me hijack the podcast from you.
Yeah, it's fine. So this is when we discovered that when Lily was a teenager, she wrote diary entries, and who were they addressed to, Evan? Actually, I will say the reason why we have diary entries is because they need to talk about the past.
Mm-hmm.
If they have a flashback, that's like tacky.
Yeah.
So instead, they have diary entries addressed to
Ellen DeGeneres. Which, okay, I was gonna say which is fine. The Ellen DeGeneres part, let's talk about that in a second. I hate the diary entries, not because of the contents. I think the backstory is important to the story. I think it's a good addition to the story. However, I hate the cadence in which they're written because it's written exactly like the modern day narration. Like, it doesn't feel like Lily as a person has evolved from her 15-year-old writing to like her adult writing. The 15-year-old writing doesn't feel like a 15-year-old writing. It's exactly the same, and it just feels very amateurish on Colleen Hoover's part. And like, this isn't like her first book or anything, so it's really weird that she doesn't like have like a distinct voice for young Lily and adult Lily, and it's dumb, almost as dumb as having the diary be letters addressed to Ellen DeGeneres. I have never met a
Okay, it's important to note this was post-cancellation. Her writing a
pre-cancellation.
diary is far less embarrassing than addressing every entry to Ellen
Yeah,
DeGeneres of all people.
yeah.
It's bizarre.
But what is even, I feel like what makes it more bizarre is that it's a teenager writing to Ellen, and I don't know any teenagers who like give a shit about talk show hosts, let alone Ellen. I feel like moms care about Ellen, which is
Yeah,
who Colleen Hoover is writing for. She's writing for like
yeah.
adult women and moms, but teenagers don't care about Ellen. It's I feel like it would have made more sense if like she just made up a talk show host like original to the world of the book, and like one that would inject some like nice like little world building. Like she could like come up with like lore about this specific show host without like risking a lawsuit or something. But also it's like in a fictional story with a fictional talk show host, you could convince me that maybe teenagers care about this fictional talk show host. But I know for a fact teenagers never gave a shit about Ellen DeGeneres because she's like old and like four moms. And also she's a daytime talk show host. So most kids are going to be at school when she's on. Nobody watches her show who is a teenager. So anyway, the Ellen thing is dumb. That's a roundabout way of saying that.
It is dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is also suffice to say that in the diaries, we find out that Lily finds this young homeless kid and helps give him food and water. Over time, they become friends, then more than that. But the whole time, we, the audience, know something. Like, can I finish this part first? But over time, we as the audience know that something definitely went down because the homeless boy isn't in Lily's life anymore. So what happened?
Whoa.
We're waiting for the ball to drop once her family discovers that Lily is in love with a homeless kid who was named Atlas, by the way. These names are horrible. His name is Atlas Corrigan.
that's like such like a fake like romance book protagonist like last name. Like nobody in real life.
Atlas Corrigan.
Yeah, Atlas Corrigan. Who the sorry to people whose last name is Corrigan, but you have a dumb last name. Get a real last name, loser. Also, another dumb thing about Atlas is that apparently he's also super into Ellen, which, like, it's already bizarre enough that a teenage boy is into Ellen DeGeneres, but also a homeless teenage boy who doesn't, like, have access to, like, cable television. It's like...
And they're both straight, which I don't...
Yeah, no. I would believe Atlas was into Ellen if he was gay, but he's not. He's...
Oh, me too.
Yeah, he's straight as a flagpole, so I don't know why he cares about Ellen.
Yeah. Anyway.
This book is weird.
These names are horrible. So, Hoover makes the brave choice to have the book cut to 6 months later. Lily has started her own floral shop. Oh my goodness, we didn't even get to the point to where... So she names her flower shop Lily Blooms because her full name...
is Lily Blossom Bloom. Which, okay, is a stupid name. But
It's funny.
as like a huge, massive fan of Pokemon where all of the characters have names like that, I do think it's a cute name. So, it's a really stupid name, but my stupid brain is like, that's still a cute name though. Because it's like she works with flowers and her name is Lily Blossom Bloom. To be fair, it is really on the nose. Like, if her name was just like Lily Bloom or like Lily Day or something, I'd be like, okay, that's a bit more subtle, but Lily Blossom Bloom is egregious.
It's a crime against humanity.
Yeah.
And Hubert thinks she's so clever, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course she thinks she's clever. She had like a whole soapbox about homelessness in her distasteful homeless boy flashback sequences.
We'll find a way to get to that at some point when it comes
Yeah,
out.
I really gotta talk about it, dude.
Anyway, as Lily is cleaning up the new place, someone stumbles in, and that is Alyssa, her new best friend. And Alyssa is spelled with 2 L's and 2 S's.
I mean, good for her. She's got a lot of name real estate.
And she quickly becomes one of Lily's best friends. However, jaw drop, we discovered that Alyssa is actually the sister of Ryle!
What? They both have stupid names? That's how you know their parents sucked. Because they gave them dumbass names. Do we know what the dead brother's name was? Did he also have a stupid name?
Emerson?
That's who it was? Okay. Oh yeah, because I remember texting you like Emerson is a dumbass name. I'm glad that bitch is dead. God, these
Jesus
parents hated their
fucking
kids.
Christ,
Fucking
Evan.
imagine naming your kid Alyssa with 2 L's and 2 S's, and then fucking Ryle, Kyle with an R, and fucking Emerson.
It's so rough. It's rough.
God.
It's brutal out here.
That's why this book should have won the Hugo, Danielle. For these great names. I'm sure that's a Hugo
Mm-hmm.
category. Best fictional character names.
I 1,000% agree.
Sorry, just thinking about these names is making me delirious. We have to keep going. Anyway, Alyssa's
So,
brother is Ryle. Whoa, how quirky.
whoa. And they run into one another because Lily twists her ankle while on the job. And Ryle, while stroking her foot, drops naked truth. Do you remember what that naked truth is, Evan?
Isn't he like that? He wants to fuck her. He's like,
Yeah.
you look so hot with a broken ankle.
And I get it. It's supposed to be a fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
But I still got the nastiest ick from this.
God,
It's
yeah,
not my kink. It's not my thing.
yeah. He lays it on thick, and it's the only kind of thick I think straight people are into, because it's like, I don't know, if a hot man was like, ooh, bro, you look so hot with that broken ankle, I'd be like, get out of my house. He's a charmer,
God.
is what we're saying about Ryle. Ryle is a 10 out of 10.
He is a 10 out of 10. And anyway, so during Alyssa has her like birthday party,
Mm-hmm.
and she invites Lily, and Lily gets a +1, and her +1 is one of her friends from her old marketing job that they never specify. They always just say Lily worked at the marketing firm, and
Yeah.
it's supposed to be the best marketing firm in all of Boston, but they never say why. But anyway,
Don't want a copyright. You don't want a lawsuit. Don't want a copyright. Don't want a lawsuit.
So Lily goes to her friend's party with a +1, and they run into Ryle, but not before some fantastic queer representation by our favorite ally, Colleen Hoover. And I would like to give Evan the floor to talk about the horrific queer representation that we have in this
God.
book.
Quick reminder, was her +1 the gay guy?
Yes.
Oh my god, that makes it so much worse because of what happens later. Okay, we have some peak queer rep. This man is sassy, and he is totally comfortable touching women's boobs because he's gay, and he's not into that. And I would like to point out that I feel like even like the most like lesbian of lesbians wouldn't be comfortable handling a woman's breasts because that's like a really intimate thing. Like, unless you're dating, that's super weird to just like, I don't even remember what he was doing. I just remember writing in my notes that he manhandles her breasts in some way.
Oh, I'll read it out to you now.
Okay,
He
please.
grabs my top and yanks it back down, and then proceeds to reach inside to adjust my bra.
Oh my god!
Devin! I slapped his hand away and he laughs. Relax, Lily. I touch way better boobs than yours, and I'm still gay.
Oh, that's so...
End quote. And that is on page 81.
That's so gross! He, like, reaches into her top to adjust her bra?
That's
I
abhorrent.
would never. That is awful. But he's gay, so it's fine. Colleen Hoover knows
It's
how to write
funny.
gay people.
It's funny and quirky.
Every gay guy I know walks up to every woman that they know and just like, you know, for podcast for audio listeners, I pantomimed reaching into a woman's shirt and adjusting her bra very aggressively.
Oh,
It's so
God.
hot in this room,
It's
Danielle.
so light.
But honestly, it's making me
Is that
funnier,
okay?
so I'm fine
Hope it's
with
okay.
it. Yeah. But
Anyway, so
yeah,
Devin, we all love Devin as our
yeah,
queer representation in this
ditched
book.
his friend when his
Oh, we'll get to that.
yeah, God, oh, he sucks. That part made me so mad. We'll get to it because it's like
So at the party,
yeah.
Lily sees his portrait on the wall, and she realizes it's the pic that Ralph took of her the first night they met. They get in a petty argument because Ralph wants to fuck her, Lily wants a relationship. So this is happening on the balcony that they have.
Can I interject that the
yes.
whole like going to like some kind of like public gathering and like seeing a portrait of like the protagonist seeing like a photograph of themselves on the wall is literally ripped out of the second 50 Shades of Grey book.
Is it? I've
Yeah,
never read the second
there's
one.
literally because like the fake like love triangle. I think his name is like Pedro,
Oh shit!
the
Now I
the
remember
the
from the
Latino guy.
movies.
Yeah, he like has like an art gallery that's like photos he's taken, but all of the photos are of like the leads of the lead.
Anastasia.
Yeah, and she's like freaked out and disgusted, and he's like, "Oh, but I love you, Anastasia." Like that. That's literally ripped from the second 50 Shades book. Like at least it feels like it is, because like
Mm-hmm.
that's yeah. So I just wanted to point that out. It's like, great minds, I guess.
Yes. So they get into a petty argument
Hmm.
while on the balcony. By the way, they go about into Lily goes out onto the balcony. Ralph follows her, and Ralph asks everyone to leave. And Lily's like, "Please don't leave me, everyone." And then everyone just leaves
Yeah,
her.
it fucking sucks. And like her gamer friend's like, "Good luck, girl," or something. I don't know. I don't think he made a
No,
comment, but he
and
ditched her.
then
He totally ditched her.
and then Lily storms inside, leaving Ralph outside. And Lily is going to ask Devin to leave. And then Ralph comes up behind her, and it's like, "Don't leave me, please." And then Lily is like, "Come on, Devin,
Oh, that's
be
what
my
happened.
security guard,
Oh
like
yeah.
we agreed." And Devin is like, "Bye, cunty. I'll
Yeah,
see
he's
you
like,
later."
"Bye, girl. You have fun." It's like it's the worst thing ever. Like none of these people are allies, and that's like supposed to be her friend or something. And like, God, ugh, disgusting. I almost actually gagged. I was like, I like remembering like all these memories are flooding my brain, and I felt so disgusted. It's
And then while abducts her, picks her up, throws her over his shoulder, and storms away in front of the whole party and locks himself in his room with her.
And also, I would like to point out that this is framed like a romantic encounter. Like Colleen
This
Hoover
is
is
not. We have not gotten
yeah.
into domestic
Yeah,
violence part
Colleen
yet.
Hoover doesn't like have like underlying like tones of like, ooh, this is sinister, this is weird, we shouldn't like Ryle for this. She writes it like how she writes all her other protagonists. Like, ooh, Ryle's so hot, he's so adventurous. This is like, she writes it like normal. Like she doesn't like change how she writes this character, despite us knowing with hindsight that he's supposed to be a bad guy. Like or
Yes.
the bad guy of the book. Anyway. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's such a bizarre thing to do. And like you said like earlier with like how like you described the book accurately as opposed to like what's on the dust jacket. It's like she's like luring us into a false sense of security so she can like drop this huge ball on us. And it's like
And I find it deceptive and
yeah,
manipulative and
it's
stinky.
super shitty. It's like yeah, it makes the reading experience really unpleasant. Because, like, if Ryle was
Yeah.
just, like, a romanticized bad guy, like a bad boy protagonist, I'd be like, okay, whatever. It's a bad romance book. But, like, she's, like, tricking us into, like, thinking that that's how it's going to go. And it's like, it's
Mm-hmm.
fine to subvert expectations, but I feel like subverting expectations is critiquing it as it's happening, not telling us it's one thing and then rug pulling and being like, actually, no, it's a different thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
at least I feel like that could be done, but Colleen Hoover isn't talented enough to do that. Sorry, Colleen Hoover. You're not talented enough to do that.
As if she's watching
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, Colleen, I'm calling you out right now. I know you listen to our podcast. And then they sleep together, but it's like they just sleep next to each other in bed or something, right?
Yes, because Rao's like, "What do I need to do to prove myself that I can get into relation, like, that you can trust me?" And Lily says like, "Don't have sex with me." And Rao's like, "Okay, I." Sorry, that's Alexa, real quick. But
Which is
but
a
Rao's like, "Okay,
which is a
I agree."
which is a shady deal to make because if they were gonna have sex, it would need to be two-sided. So it kind of seems like Lily is well aware that this man would probably have his way with her non-consensually, and yet she's still into him,
Yeah,
which is weird.
yeah. I got nothing to add.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just a really the whole introduction to the book is really uncomfortable, and then it gets really boring really fast until the ball drop. At least I think it got really boring
so
really fast.
so Rao and Lily, they're hitting it. So some time passes, they're hitting it off. Their relationship is going. It's progressing.
Good for them.
And they end up going to a restaurant and they run into an old flame. The old flame mentioned in her Ellen diaries. Atlas
Oh
Corrigan is the waiter.
my God, it's Atlas.
They have a moment like old friends, and I will say this felt entirely platonic to me.
Mm-hmm.
I've since been bullied by Evan into saying platonic instead of platonic. I
You wait. Wait. First of all, I do not recall this. We need to pause the Colleen Hoover discussion. You used to say Platonic,
Yes, I did all the time,
like
and he would make fun of me.
the philosopher Plato. Platonic.
That's what I've heard. Maybe it's a Northern California thing because I know a lot of my teachers pronounce it that way.
It's gotta be because I've literally never heard it said that way. I've always heard Platonic. That's crazy. And producer Avery's
Well, it's a
agreeing with me.
NorCal thing, I guess.
Yeah, producer Avery's agreeing with me. It's Platonic.
It's
And I'm gonna
Platonic,
continue
but
to
this felt
bully you
entirely-
for it because you're wrong.
You know what? Maybe I will go back to do my old ways. It is Platonic.
It'll be funnier, yeah. I don't know what.
So this felt entirely platonic to me. Atlas and Lily having a moment where they're like genuinely proud of one another and how far they've gone in life. Because the last time they met each other, they were both in pretty abusive situations.
Yeah.
Atlas and Lily now they are in happy places in their life. They're adults now. Far cry of the ignorance of youth, and it seems like all is well between the two of them, which I really appreciated seeing that.
It's a good.
Lily
and
Alice
it's a
were
nice
able
normal
to
interaction.
be adults about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like running into an old friend, and you're like, "Oh my god, I'm so proud of you."
Yeah, definitely for like this first adult Atlas encounter, it felt nice. I have nothing negative to say. It was a normal, nice encounter. I do have some thoughts about the second encounter they have, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
But we will get there.
Yeah.
So the relationship is going pretty well with Ryle up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
Ryle's
Everything's sunny.
met the
Everything's
mother.
nice.
Yes. Everything seems to be going perfect, and then Ryle and Lily are cooking in the kitchen, and Ryle reaches for a pan with his bare hand,
Fucking
burns
idiot.
his palm, and in the ruckus, Lily laughs at the absurdity of it all, and Ryle pushes her.
So there's a lot to unpack there already. In a very brief scene.
It lasts, and I appreciate that Hoover was able to write it. Like, the whole time Lily was like, it only lasted 5 seconds, and 5 seconds changed our entire relationship, just like that.
Yeah, there are like some genuinely really good like writing moments in this book. They genuinely surprised me. I will give Colleen her flowers. She had some good writing moments in this book. And I do think what she was trying to do with this book is ambitious and cool for her to try to do as someone who's known for not doing good things with her writing. It just kind of fell flat. And we can talk about why when we get to our more general thoughts, but there are like good bits of writing in this book. That is to say, though, Ryle is a fucking moron. I don't know how this man is a neurosurgeon and this stupid. He goes to work high, and he tries to grab a hot pan with his bare hands. Like there's machismo, and then there's just being fucking stupid. And this guy is fucking stupid. But, like, you have to be fucking stupid to, be a domestic abuser, I guess. So, I guess that's accurate or whatever. So
after Ryle pushes Lily, Lily is shocked. And she tells Ryle that if he ever does that to her again, she'll leave him without a second thought. And here, I was going, okay, good for her, she stood up for herself. But why do we have, like, 200 more pages? Oh dear.
Oh no, I don't think she leaves him after the second time.
I feel like the meme where it's like, oh, you got a big storm coming.
Yeah, oh honey, you've got a big storm coming.
So next time Atlas, Alyssa, her husband, what's her husband's name? Mitchell?
Some fucking guy. Just some fucking guy who's also there. I think I also recall not liking him too, but
he was better.
Yeah. I mean, compared to Ryle, everybody's better.
Let me find it real quick. Marshall.
You were close. Mitchell, Marshall, same fucking guy.
So Marshall, who is Alyssa's husband, Ryle, and Lily all go to the same restaurant that they met Atlas at. And this is when they find out that Atlas is not just a waiter, he is the owner. Wow,
and
yay,
and
Atlas.
like the chef.
I was genuinely like, good for him.
Yeah, good for him. I was happy for him. he's the waiter, he's the chef, he's the manager, he does everything.
He's a cashier, he's a
Yeah.
dishwasher.
He's
that way
the-
you know that he's a good manager and gets his hands dirty.
Yeah, he's the only person who works at this restaurant. It's like this big ass, like high quality restaurant, and this man is just literally running around to every table. He's like, he does everything. That's a joke, obviously, but like that's the impression you get. It's like he literally is the only person working here because because he's just so good at everything that he only needs himself to work at the restaurant.
So Alice is so we find out that Alyssa is pregnant. Yay!
Good for
after
her.
trying for a long time. And all expectant mothers get free dessert on the restaurant. Awesome. So Alice comes out, the chef comes out so they can pay their respects, and Atlas sees Lily's bruised eye from when Lily got pushed, and then he sees Ryle's bandaged fists, puts two and two together, or assumes the worst, because Ryle didn't punch her, he just pushed her, but tomato. And Lily goes to the bathroom and Atlas meets her there. Atlas pretty much begs Lily to leave Ryle. Lily refuses, tells Atlas that he's out of his debt. Alice apologizes and leaves, but not before giving Lily his number in case she ever needs it. So Ryle is coming around the corner, and he sees Atlas and Lily leave the bathroom together. Ryle assumes that something romantic happened in the whopping 2 minutes that they were together.
Well, you know, some guys can last less than that, so it could have been.
And Alice, I thought Ryle instigated it. Apparently, it was not. Alice instigated. Alice threw the first punch, where Atlas was like,
sense.
"Don't ever fucking touch her again."
Yeah,
and
he's making a lot of
Ryle.
assumptions.
Yeah. I heard Rachel Oates describe the fight scene between. You might know her. She's friends with Savvy. Rachel Oates described the scene as homoerotic between Ryle and Alice, and I just about pissed myself laughing.
Honestly, I think I had the same thought when I read that part too. I was like, "Ooh, okay, they're getting into it." But yeah, I will admit this scene kind of like made me not like Atlas because I feel like he was really pushing boundaries. First of all, he followed her into the bathroom, which is really weird.
Yeah, but you know, Alice thought that she's in an abusive relationship.
Which I understand, but like
Alice assumed the worst.
Yeah, but like meet her in the hallway, and if she's like, you don't actually understand the situation, this isn't actually what happened, then that's when you go, oh, sorry, I misunderstood, and then you leave. But he literally started a fight with her boyfriend in his own restaurant. I don't know. It made me go, oh, both of these guys kind of suck because. Like, when you first meet Atlas, you're like, oh...
I'm still Team Atlas, though.
Obviously. But, like, when you first meet Atlas, he's like, oh, he's, like, mature. He owns his own business. He's really cool. He's, like, normal. And then, like, this scene just kind of makes him seem kind of irrational and weird. And it's like, I don't know. It makes it hard to get back on board with him. But, like, obviously, between Atlas and Ryle, obviously Atlas is the better choice. You know, he's willing to go to bat for Lily even over a misunderstanding. So, he's the romantic hero.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about that fight?
That it was pretty sexy. No, he beats up a guy in his restaurant. That's about all that happens. Which, honestly, based. If I owned a restaurant and some fucking guy that I didn't like was there, I'd beat him up too. I own the place. What's gonna happen to me? I get fired?
What's gonna happen?
Yeah, right?
I will say, okay, so my next point, it's gonna sound it happens quickly, but I will say this is how quick it happens in the book. So my next note after this says, time goes on, Lily and Rao rush into an overnight marriage to Vegas. They're so in love and successful, it's sickening. So things are going well for Lily's business, and they have an overnight wedding in Vegas.
Always a good sign.
They rush into a marriage, and
was it like
while on the plane?
Did they mutually agree on that, or was it like a pressure thing?
What happened was that Lily and Alyssa were like in bed in their like bedroom, and Lily was feeling Alyssa's stomach, waiting for the baby to kick, and they're making like small talk, and Lily or Alyssa says like, "Oh my god, I can't wait until you become my sister." And Lily's like, oh, that's probably not going to happen for a long time. Alyssa says, like, oh, well, would you marry Ryle right now if you could? And Lily says, of course. And of course, who's standing in the doorway behind her? Ryle. And Ryle says, I would marry the fuck out of you right now, Lily.
I mean,
And let's do it.
I guess if the vibes are right, but also that feels, I don't know, I feel like, I don't know. I guess I interpret it as more pressuring than it probably actually was. I don't know.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, I don't know. That just feels like such like a trap question. It's like, oh, would you marry my brother right now if you could? Like, I feel like the polite thing to say would be, yeah, of course, but that's not gonna happen for. Like, I feel like that's not gonna happen for a while implies that you're still not certain about it. But like, that's the polite way to put it. I don't know. I feel like I remembered it being more pressuring, but I believe you that maybe I'm just like misremembering. But yeah, so they go to Vegas, they get married.
Yippee!
Good for them. Good for the happy couple.
Happy couple.
Happy couple.
Okay. And they're so successful. Ryle's career as a doctor is going like super quick, super fast. He's getting a bunch of these fancy new surgeries. And Lily's business is on top of the moon, which, by the way, how is her business succeeding? She's so shit at running a business, but whatever.
Yeah, but also it's like a floral shop. You really have to be on your game for that to be successful. It's like running
and the
your
fact
own
that
cafe.
she started her own business without a business plan.
Yeah.
And she is supposed to be running like the top marketing, the best marketing firm in all of Boston.
I guess that like Colleen Hoover's just trying to like hand wave her success. It's like, oh well, she used to work at the best marketing firm in Boston or whatever. So it's like, of course she'd be good at running a business. But like we never see her actually run the business.
That's another thing.
My major issue is that
I get it. It's not the focus of this book, but we can still poke fun at it.
It makes Lily less interesting. We never see her doing things. We only ever see her as she is related to the men around her, really, which isn't very compelling. We don't know what she's into. We don't know like the kind of person she is. She's very much a blank slate character, and it's she just is very uninteresting. So uninteresting. We don't even know how she's keeping her business afloat, but good for her.
So things are going well between Ryle and Lily until one evening, Ryle says, and I will say he claims, he says that he was holding Lily's phone. I dropped your phone by accident. Cover pops off. I found the number hidden in the back of it. And Ryle calls the number and discovers that it is Atlas's phone number that Atlas gave her the second time they met at the restaurant. Ryle gets pissed, goes to leave the apartment. Lily follows after him, trying to be like, it's not what you think, it's not what you think. Ryle's like, don't even talk to me. He's lucky I got his fucking voicemail. He chucks my phone clear across the room and it shatters against the wall. There's a 3-second pause where I think this could go one of two ways. He's going to leave me, he's not. And Ryle leaves the apartment. Lily runs after him. Ryle grabs Lily's wrist and pushes her away from him. And then there's some, like, dots separating, like, two sections from one another. And then we open up to Ryle taking care of Lily's head wound, which, how did that happen? And then we find out with Ryle is claiming that Lily fell down the stairs, but we as the audience know that Ryle pushed her down the stairs. Yeah. So Ryle pushed her down a fucking flight of stairs. It's a horrifying scene.
It's genuinely upsetting to read. Especially, I think, like I keep saying, I think what makes it like so upsetting to read is obviously not just the real world, emotions with it, but it's not really set up. Like I keep saying, obviously it's foreshadowed that Ryle sucks, but you're reading a Colleen Hoover book, you expect the main love interest to suck. So when the book actually starts addressing that he sucks, it's like a tonal whiplash thing. It's like wow, I'm very upset because I thought I was just going to read like a romanticized, shitty boyfriend story, but no, it's actually trying to be serious, and I wasn't expecting that, and I don't know, it's just like I keep saying, tonal whiplash. It's like such a weird reading experience, and I think it's
Hmm.
ultimately to the book's detriment. Like I said, a more talented author probably could have pulled it off, but it's Colleen Hoover. Sorry, girl.
So the next day, that's when we discover why Rao acts violently, because Alyssa sees what happened to Lily, and Alyssa's like, wait, let Rao explain himself first. And we find out why Rao acts violently, and that is because he shot his brother when he was 6. Which isn't an excuse, and I hate that
Absolutely
Alyssa
not.
treats it like one. Sure, Rao goes to therapy for it, he's receiving help, but it's clearly not enough. I hate this part.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It sucks. It's such like I, I mean, at this point, the book becomes very shitty, but it's with purpose. It's supposed to like it's like to use a flower analogy. It's blossoming into a revelation that this situation is actually very shitty and shittier than we thought.
Hmm.
But it's just I guess another reason it feels like such a big issue is because of the precedent Colleen Hoover has set with her other books. So to me, if I am like a huge fan of Colleen Hoover's books and like I love all of her shitty dude protagonists, I'm gonna read this part and be like, oh, he just has baggage. It's fine that he pushed me down the stairs. Like they're gonna
Which is
get the
what a
wrong
lot of
message from
people
it.
thought when they
Yeah,
were going into it, when you read the
yeah.
reviews.
It's like because of a precedent she set with her other books, she's sending the wrong message in this story because she didn't start the book with a different cadence from her other books. She started it just like all her other books. And so that's tricking her core audience, the people who do read all her other books, into still liking Ryle when they're not supposed to. And then normal
Hmm.
people like us who don't like her books are like reading this and be like, this is horrifying. Why do people like him? And honestly it makes me feel bad for Colleen Hoover because obviously she wants us to not like him, but because again of this precedent that she set, people do like him. And it makes me feel
Hmm.
bad for her, honestly, as like because of like, the pseudo autobiographical stuff about this book. It's like, oh, she's trying to tell one thing, but because she has a certain audience, it's not going over well. And you know, I think it lends to the tragedy of the book, honestly. I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah.
Yeah. Um, what I also dislike is that Ryle says, and I quote, "Help me, Lily," he whispers. "I need you to help me." Page 244. And I hate it when the abuser puts the pressure on the survivor to not abuse them.
Mhm.
Like, the fuck? I don't know if Colleen Hoover knows that this is a bad thing, considering her track record with her books in the
Mhm.
past. But I choose to see light in this world and believe in the positive.
Mhm. Yeah, and actually in my notes there was like a scene earlier in the book where Ryle like implied that it was Lily's responsibility to not make him horny for her. So this feels like a progression of that. It's like it's her responsibility to not let him prey upon her basically. And which
Mm-hmm.
doesn't help with the stuff I was just saying. It's like there's a precedent with Colleen Hoover's books, and I can see why the wrong message was sent to her core audience in this book. It's a
Um,
fun read.
yeah. So another event occurs, and I will say another one so quickly, and I say, yeah, it happened very quickly, one right after the other, where Ryle's digging through Lily's stuff and finds her old journals and discovers how much Atlas means to her. That the tattoo she has on her collarbone is because of Atlas, that the Boston magnet that she has in her fridge is from him, and Ryle responds accordingly by headbutting Lily and nearly raping her. Which, oh my god!
Oh, yeah.
In this book, I genuinely thought that he did rape her. I thought that's what happened. But
Yeah.
apparently not.
I think I
But
thought that's what
still,
happened too.
horrifying. Apparently, Lily says that
It's
he
like it
stopped in
like
the hospital room. When I read that back the second time I read it, and then I was like, oh, okay. But still, Jesus fucking
yeah, it's
Christ.
like it like it's like it keeps ramping up in shock value, which is why I like wonder if Colleen Hoover's like the shock jock of writers. Like maybe she doesn't actually care and she's just trying to write shocking material because it's what people will talk about, and we're
Mm-hmm.
falling for it right now. I don't know.
we're we're feeding into
Huh.
it.
Yeah,
Um,
we're feeding
yeah, I
we're
could
feeding
read out some
her
horrifying
her
passages to
agenda.
you, but I'm not going to because Jesus fucking Christ, I'm not going to subject you
Yeah.
to that.
I feel like talking about
Um,
it like
you get the gist.
non-specifically is bad enough.
I don't need to read it to you to add to the shock value. You already get it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that morning question mark or that night, Lily escapes with Atlas's help, and at the hospital she's getting treated. By the way, she goes out of her way to go to the hospital that Raul doesn't work at because she doesn't want his colleagues to know what he did to her.
Smart.
Um, and she goes to a different
I thought she was
hospital.
doing it to avoid him, but
Yeah, that's why. She says so in the car ride. Like she thinks about it. And then there at the
yeah.
hospital, she discovers that
Which
she's pregnant.
is a realistic thing for an abuse victim to think. Sorry, I keep interrupting you, but that's like a
No,
realistic
it's fine.
mindset for an abuse victim to have. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't like. It's like, oh, I don't want to
I'm not
ruin his
dodging.
life.
I'm not dogging on her.
Yeah,
So at the hospital, she finds out that she's pregnant. Which, oh my god,
yeah. I have less
there's nothing else
quips
to
the
say.
further
That's
we get
just
into the
what
book
happened.
because it's just like, yeah, it's like it's just tragic thing after tragic thing. It's like Colleen Hoover's
Mm-hmm.
punching us in the face with just sad shit. Which I'm realizing that turn of phrase is probably very inappropriate for this discussion. But
So she's staying at Atlas's place for a while so that she can kind of get herself together, try to figure out a way to confront Ryle. Because they live together, they share a whole life together. Eventually, she reveals the abuse to her friend and Ryle's sister, Alyssa. And Alyssa says the following on page 315. As his sister, I wish more than anything that you could find a way to forgive him. But as your best friend, I have to tell you that if you take him back, I will never speak to you again. And I think this is Lily's wake up call
yeah.
to not go back to Ryle.
Which honestly, given how shitty we've seen Lily's friends be to her in
This was
previous
good.
section of the book, that's like a good thing. Like that's finally one of her friends is
Yeah.
saying a good thing. It's like wow, that's she actually has people looking out for her. Wow, that's so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry. It's just
Yeah.
this book becomes mentally exhausting after a while. I'm just like, this is what's happened. Sorry.
I would like to point out that there were some tragic lines, especially in this section, that made my heart break for Lily. Such as on 283, she says, I'm a statistic now. The things I've thought about women like me are now what others would think of me if they knew my current situation. And that was a difficult line for me to read, despite me not really caring for Lily as a character because she's poorly written. It hurt to realize that maybe because I've come to similar realizations of my own, the realization that I'm a statistic and trying to fight against it. Yeah, that was just a personal note for me, personal note that made me empathize with Lily even more.
Yeah, and like we keep saying, there are bits of good writing in this.
Mm-hmm.
What obviously like Lily's a very poorly written character. Everyone in this book is very poorly written, but it's like the allusions to those real world things is what
Are very real.
Yeah, they're very real, and it does make it kind of a difficult read, especially because after a while, Colleen Hoover does drop like the romantic facade, and it just becomes like a straight up like a drama, basically. Yeah. So, but again, you're not warned that that's what you're getting. It's like, oh, it's it's like it's a love triangle, and it's like who's she gonna pick?
That's what it reads like on the
yeah.
back of the book.
Yeah, and like that's how the book starts, and it's like, but then it's like it becomes very real, and it's like the audience didn't sign up for that, and it wasn't broadcasted very well at the beginning, so it's like it doesn't land well, despite how real it feels. Yeah, it unsettles in not like well, for me anyway, it unsettles not in like a real raw way. It unsettles in a like a shock jock way, where she's using it as like a ploy to make you feel like these uncomfortable emotions. And again, I feel like a more talented writer could have pulled it off better, because I don't think the bones of this book, I feel like, are really good, and I feel like this has probably even already been done before. It's just Colleen Hoover doesn't have the skills to like flesh it out well.
Upon telling Ryle that she is pregnant, she says that I wish this baby wasn't yours, Ryle. But everything that I am, I wish this baby was not a part of you. Page 326. And that was a point to where I was like, yes, 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 girl. Stand up to him. Anything else you want to say on that?
No, that's pretty straightforward. It's like we're reaching like some character development where you know, we're not having to suffer the bullshit much longer. Although there's still some bullshit later on. But we'll get to it.
Yeah. So some time passes, she's very pregnant, and to my surprise, she's slowly allowing Ryle back into her life, not for her sake, but for the baby's, because she wants her baby to have a father.
Which, in my opinion, he's not worth it.
No.
Yeah, no.
No, not at all.
No, like if my baby's father was like that, I'd be like, you do not get to be anywhere near this kid. Like, ever.
No, I'm getting sole custody. Fuck you.
Yeah, no, I would tell the judges everything. I'd be like, he did all this shit. I don't want him near my kid. And it would probably be like a clean sweep in that court. They'd be like, yeah, fuck that guy. But I guess
so.
You know, yeah. Lily doesn't seem like a very reasonable character anyway. So
we discovered that she's just letting Ralph sleep on the couch while she's 9 months pregnant. Which, by the way, how do you get any amount of peaceful sleep knowing your abuser is in the next room?
Right.
I don't think that was a smart decision, but it was a decision Lily made nonetheless. After she gives birth, she tells Ryle that she wants a divorce. And Ryle is begging her to take him back. Then Lily has to be like, if our daughter came up to you and told you that her partner was doing the things he did to Lily, what would he do? And Ryle is forced to answer that he would want their daughter to lead the relationship. So the book ends with Lily understanding that she's broken the cycle of abuse, and the title is her speaking to her daughter. That is, it being abuse and domestic violence. It ends with us.
Which I think is very poignant.
Which I find it very empowering at the end.
Yeah, I like title drops like that, where like it wraps around into like a thesis, basically. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very powerful title drop in an otherwise bad book. But you know, I think all this proves is Colleen has her moments, and good for her. I wish all her moments were like that, but. You take some.
You can't have nice things.
Yeah, you got to compromise at some point.
So in the epilogue, we discovered that Ryle is getting unsupervised visits with his daughter, which, oh my god, don't do that.
Oh yeah, horrifying. Oh, like okay.
He could still get violent.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Let him be in your daughter's life. Unsupervised, asinine. It's like. I feel it makes you feel like Lily actually hasn't really progressed as a character, even though Colleen wants you to think she has. It's like she's still, I don't know. That's, it's like.
And I think part of the reasoning is that Lily's abusive father was always cruel to her mother, not to his daughter. But as Ryle is still having these blackout moments of rage, shouldn't she be concerned?
Yeah. If it ends with us, why is she like? Following these assumptions that she has about previous abusers in her life. I feel like if she's gonna have that poignant title drop, she should be now a more wizened character. She shouldn't let her kid around him unsupervised. But again, you take some, you lose some. Colleen's moments aren't absolute.
Yeah, so the book ends with she runs into Atlas and they finally find one another. Right person, right time this time, and they fall in love again.
Good for them.
The final line is a Finding Nemo reference because Alice and Lily love Ellen.
Uh,
Atlas says, on 367, Atlas says, "You can stop swimming now, Lily. You finally reached the shore."
which is so fucking cringe. Okay, I need to rant about the just keep swimming thing. Can I please rant about the just keep swimming
Of
thing?
course, go ahead.
Okay, first of all,
Please.
it's stupid because you are trying to like basically she's trying to like reappropriate like an iconic line from a different piece of media into an iconic line for her piece of media, which is just
Instead of making one of her
yeah,
own.
which is super lazy. Again, it goes back to like the talk show host thing. She should have just invented a film that has an inspirational quote in it, and then she could have used that as like her like tagline from for like her piece of media, like her iconic line for her piece of media. But instead, she just jacks one from a different piece of media that is a vastly superior like piece of writing to her thing, and then this like ending line where it's like, "It's okay, Lily, we've reached the shore." It doesn't even make sense in context of the line "just keep swimming" because it's from a film about fish. If the fish go to shore, the fish are gonna die. So what is Atlas trying to tell her there? It either demonstrates a lack of understanding of illusion in that way and like referencing another piece of media, or she doesn't actually care and she just wanted like some poignant ending line that when you think about it for like more than 2 seconds doesn't make sense, because that's not how illusion works. If you're going to pull a line from a different piece of media, you have to understand the full context of that line within that piece of media so that you can properly apply it to your piece of media. Instead, you have this dumb ending line that implies they're gonna die, I guess.
Anyway.
Yeah, sorry. I have so many things to
No,
say.
it's fine. Okay, so our thoughts about the book. I want to say that I want to say it's easy to make fun of the book.
So
It's
easy. We've been
not
doing it
written
this whole
well.
time.
It's so easy. It's it's not written well. It just isn't.
Yeah.
There's a god tier line on page 107 where um, Lily thinks when Atlas, was wiping that cow shit on me, it was quite possibly the most turned on I have ever been. Which is a
Mm,
ridiculous line, and there are plenty of more ridiculous lines throughout the book, but that is just one example
yeah.
of just how bizarre this book is.
Yeah. 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 It's there's like such variable like degrees of quality of writing. Like it feels like Colleen wrote half the book like before she wrote any other book, and then she wrote the other half of the book after she had already written a ton of books. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
this weird like amalgam of like eras of her writing where like one half is like the stupid bad boy lover shit, but then the other half is like more matured and introspective, but she didn't feel bothered to actually rewrite the entire thing and make like a more cohesive, like tonally cohesive piece of writing. And it just makes for a very unique experience.
Mm-hmm.
As I keep saying, sorry, I keep repeating myself
No,
because
it's
there's
fine.
only so much you can say about this book until you've just exhausted every single thing you can say about this book.
One thing I want to say is that it was just this book lacks substance, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think it could have worked if Hoover didn't mean for this book to be
Yeah.
serious.
Oh yeah.
Her writing style is too simplistic for this difficult subject matter that she's trying to tackle. I'll read a quote to you on page 231. "I can feel my whole body start to shake with sobs. I have no idea how bad I'm hurt, but I don't even care. No physical pain could even compare to what my heart is feeling in this moment. I start to slap at his hands, wanting him away from me. I feel him lift off the bed as I curl into a ball." It's too simple. Describing what she's doing and literally using the word feel. Why would an you're a New York Times best-selling author and you're using the word feel? Uh, okay, look. I understand that she was going for a stylistic choice to replicate parallelism, but I don't think it works here. In addition, we as writers in general know that we should not use the word feel. It's just a writing rule. It's a writing rule for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm not against breaking writing rules. That's why it's creative writing. But it doesn't work here. and the writing is poorly done. And this is just one example of having too simplistic writing for a too difficult subject matter that she is trying to tackle.
Yeah. It feels too juvenile for something that needs like a very mature hand taking it on. And
yeah, I will say, in my opinion, which is not the popular opinion to reading other reviews, but I thought that Ra's violence was foreshadowed well. I mean, the first time we met him, he kicked a chair, made a machine grade polymer, but apparently to most people, they didn't recognize that that was supposed to be violent.
yeah. But
okay.
Yeah. But like I said earlier, I think that's because of the precedent established by her other books. So people probably were just like, well, this is how all of her protagonists are like. They weren't expecting it
Maybe
to...
so, because it was my first time reading this book, and I just picked up on it, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like, and there's also the thing where, like, if a guy punches a wall, how long it's gonna take until he punches you?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, I think people didn't pick up on it because this is just how all of her protagonists are like. So they don't expect it to eventually become like, I guess essentially a deconstruction of all her other books, which could have been interesting. But again, she just doesn't have like that mature hand to really go full force into that kind of deconstruction. She doesn't have the chops for it.
So I thought it was foreshadowing. I thought it was painfully obvious, but
it's
it seems
definitely
that the
meant to
majority
be
of people didn't pick up on it.
But yeah.
Which I'm not dogging on them for. And like you said, there's a reason why I didn't pick up on it, because they had read other of Colleen Hoover's books. So it wasn't supposed to be obvious foreshadowing, knowing that context. But I just like the idea that Hoover dropped the domestic violence as a plot twist. I know I keep repeating this.
Oh, yeah.
But I found it cruel and deceptive. I did not like that domestic violence, of all things, is considered a plot twist, especially when the back reads it as a contemporary romance and not a dark romance.
A plot twist is like, oh, well, something I had thought was actually going to happen was it was going to be revealed that like Atlas or like Ryle is adult Atlas, or like Atlas was the dead brother or something. That's a plot twist. Domestic violence as a major theme of the book is not a plot twist. That's just, shock jock behavior.
On the bright side, I do have to give it to Hoover that her writing flowed. It was stupid and awful, but it was a quick read. I'll give her that.
Yeah.
For all of Hoover's faults, she knows how to get you sucked into her book, and not a lot of writers can do that. So, good for her. I'll clap for her.
Good job, Colleen. You do things good sometimes. And good in this case is relative. The writing isn't good. It's just easy to read, which is good.
What are some of your thoughts, Evan?
Oh boy. I mean, I feel like I've said so much already. Like general thoughts, or is this like a final thoughts segment, or?
I do have two more final thoughts to give
froze.
or a few more final thoughts that are. It'll fix itself. I'm talking about the book itself, because everything else is going to be surrounding the book and the culture of people reviewing her book and hating on it and all that stuff.
Yeah. The book itself.
Just the book itself.
Yeah. The book itself, like I said, I was shocked I didn't hate it as much as I thought it would. As a book, it's fine. If you know what it's supposed to be about going in, I think it could be like an enjoyable read for people who want to
If you go with the summary that I read it's a good book.
Yes. If you go with the more accurate summary, it can be a decent read. I still don't think it's good because of like how distastefully some things are written. But if you go into it with an accurate summary, you're not going to have like that tonal whiplash, like blindsiding kind of thing. And I do think it can be good in like the right environment. But with the synopsis it's given, it's bad. It doesn't present itself accurately. It's almost like clickbait, but like anti-clickbait. Where it's like, it lures you into something that sucks, rather than like showing you something shocking to lure you into an otherwise very mundane experience. It uses mundanity to lure you into a shocking experience, and I don't think that's a fair thing to do to your audience. So,
Hmm.
On that ground, it sucks. So that's my general
Yeah.
thought. It's like, if you know what it's about beforehand, it might be enjoyable. If you don't, good luck. I hope you don't. You're not. You're. I hope you're in a good mood, because if you're in a bad mood, this will just put you in a worse mood.
So I wanted to shift the discussion a little bit to talking about the response to the book, because a lot of people hate this book and there's a lot of rant reviews on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there is some discussion to talk about the fact that this is a book that many young women love and adore, and I personally worry that the sudden increase in hating Hoover is related to the hatred of everything that women like.
Yeah, it's like a
Part of me is like,
Twilight
no.
thing.
Yeah, part of me is like, no, because it's bad.
Yeah.
But young girls and women deserve to have good things.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if stating that Hoover is problematic is necessarily useful or productive, especially to the extent that it has gotten to.
Yeah.
And we're just feeding into it.
Yeah, but like, we're little worms. We eat dirt. Okay, we eat
We're the
dirt.
exception to the rule.
Yeah, so we're the exception. We're allowed to feed into it.
In addition, I would like to commend Hoover because re- so many people got into Hoover that weren't reading beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather someone read than not read.
Yeah.
I love reading. I encourage anyone to read, even if it's quote unquote trash.
Yeah.
And sure, we can make fun of them as like adults who read Colleen Hoover or adults who never entered their Wattpad phase. But like, so what? We all read problematic stuff in our Wattpad phase.
Mm-hmm.
Let them have their Wattpad phase. It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
That's my
It's like,
opinion.
yeah, I feel like the criticism definitely shouldn't be of the audience. Well, okay, not for the whole audience, not for a generalization of the audience. There are specific people we could criticize, because, like, the people who think Ryle is hot and misunderstood. But like, in general,
We'll get to that. That's another point that I have.
In general, the issue is not book bad because women read it. The issue is the content of the book. So, yeah, I agree. There's no, at least in this space, there's no platform to rag on the people reading it, apart from the bad actors. So,
Another point I wanted to point out was that at the very end of the book, we get an author's note describing that this book is very personal for Hoover.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote this book and it was very much inspired by her mom's personal life experience of living in an abusive relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say that personal note dismisses it from judgment. I heartily disagree.
Yeah.
I think that we can criticize this book and recognize that this book is a love letter to her mom.
Mm-hmm.
We can criticize the writing, the execution of the message, and in no way are we saying that Hoover's mother's experience are invalid, nor are we victim blaming, because that is stinky behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if it wasn't meant to be criticized, she wouldn't have published it. Like, she put it out there. We're allowed to critique it. It doesn't invalidate where it came from. It's like, I'm trying to think of like another example, but like, plenty of artists create works inspired by their life and as like kind of a catharsis that doesn't absolve it of being critiqued, because that's the point of putting art out into the public. It's to have a conversation. It's to critique it. It's to discuss it. So, like, I don't know. So, yeah. So we're allowed to say it's a shitty book, but it's fine that Colleen wrote it for her mom. She's allowed to do that too. That doesn't mean it's a good book, Colleen. Sorry.
Two things can exist at once.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not mutually exclusive.
And finally, I also want to talk about the response to this book. Now, a lot of people, when writing reviews, would not fail to mention the way that Coho fans respond to Ryle. A lot of them are actually simping for Ryle, calling him their book boyfriend. And I understand that Coho books, apparently the men act like Ryle and is romanticized and simped over. I have only read one other Colleen Hoover book, and a lot of people agree that Miles from Ugly Love is a book boyfriend, despite him acting not in this nowhere near to the same level as Ryle, but manipulative, deceptive, etc. Cruel at times. But I want to take this opportunity to say that this is a review of the book, not a review of the people responding to the book. And I don't want to bring into consideration how the community views this book, because I disagree. that Ryle is a misunderstood bad boy who deserves a second chance. That's absolutely absurd.
Yeah, no, he's a piece
But
of
just
shit.
because I disagree with the other readers of this book doesn't mean that it's going to affect my review nor ratings of this book.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I heartily disagree with another reviewer saying that they love this book because of Ryle, that doesn't mean that I'm going to rate my book even less.
Yeah.
Not that I could rate it any less. It's still 1 star, but that's not affected by the reviewers.
Yeah. Yeah. My opinion is the book is we should beat Ryle with hammers out of 10.
I agree.
Yeah.
Team Atlas.
Yeah. I'll only hit Atlas with a hammer one time because of that weird thing he did with the bathroom, but other than that, yeah, Team Atlas. I think I feel like we've had a very good discussion about Colleen Hoover. Yeah, personally, I was very worried coming into this episode because I was like, I have not had a chance to reread this book. My notes are very limited. But as we discussed it, I found myself able to like recall enough of the book to still recall my feelings about the book, which is what, a review's about. It's the feelings that the story made you feel. And wow, it made me feel so many things because I probably peaked the mic a lot in this episode. I'm so sorry, audience. But also, this is a doozy of a book. This is...
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. How should we conclude? Should we conclude with like... should we tell the audience if they should even read this book at all?
I mean, you got the whole story from us.
Yeah.
So...
honestly, actually, at this point, if you cannot come to your own conclusion about whether or not you're interested in reading this book, that is completely your fault. we talked this book to death already. If you do not know whether or not this is for you, or if it's like worth the mystery or the intrigue of the book, that's on you. I don't know what. I guess you said you rated it a 1. And I rated a we should beat Ryle with hammers out of 10. So we already ranked the book.
Yeah.
Rated the book. Sorry.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with this book now. I have it. I don't want to give it to anyone.
Don't give it to anybody.
I was gonna put it in my little free book library, but I don't want anyone else to read this book. So.
No. I don't know. Are you going camping anytime soon? You could use it as kindling. I believe in book burning when it's a bad book.
For me.
Sorry, I believe in book burning when it's bad books. Sorry.
Fair enough. So yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this book. I have it now.
You could keep it as a token, as a token of remembrance, as a memento mori of this whole experience.
Yep. So yeah, I personally would not recommend the book. I think that it's stinky. I think that it had a good bone. Like Evan said, it had good bones, but it was just a poor execution. There are far better books that you can read, especially about the topic of domestic violence, if you are interested. Colleen Hoover is not one of them.
Yeah.
There are far better books that you can be reading, in my opinion. Nonetheless.
And I concur. Don't read this book. Read literally anything else. Unless it's a worse book, somehow.
Unless it is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover, which I read, actually, and you can watch it on my channel.
Yeah, go do that. Go to Danielle's channel. Subscribe. Leave a comment. Say that we sent you. And if you don't, I'm throwing books at you.
Thank you for joining us on our second episode of Bookworms on Call. We greatly appreciate it if you follow us on our socials. That is Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok on Bookworms on Call. Please leave a review. We are a new podcast, so we would greatly, greatly appreciate it.
The algorithm is evil, so you gotta the audience also have to put some effort in. We're doing a lot. All you have to do is go on Apple Podcasts and be like, "It good," and then you're done.
That's all you have to do. That's literally it.
It's that
and then
simple.
we're happy.
It's that simple. I'll be a very, very happy worm eating my... I will also print out your reviews and then eat them like I eat my book that I live in. Just yum, 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 yum. Eating your good reviews. I love it. They're tasty.
Maybe if we get like positive reviews, we can spend the last section of our episode reading it. That's like a shout out.
That could be fun. If we're going to be reading reviews, also send some batshit reviews. If you're going to leave a positive review... Make it silly, make it funny, so we have good content. Thank you.
So, episode 3 is also already up, so you can just click on the next episode, and that should already be up for y'all lovely viewers.
Oh, that one's gonna be another very tasty treat. Very tasty.
Remember to dig deep and answer the phone the next time we call.
Because we are going to call, and if you don't pick up, I'm throwing books at you and hitting you with hammers. Goodbye.